Try. Okay. Good morning, everyone. For those of you that are new, and I think we have a number of new people on this meeting. I am Bob Lovinger. I'm the president of Flexxbuy. Flexxbuy has been around about 4 years or so. It's been under two separate entities, but it's always been Flexxbuy. We are a nationwide leader in consumer financing. I believe, I'm not going to swear to this, but I do believe that we have the most robust product platform in the industry. We do our best to try to stay on top of products and try to fill gaps wherever gaps may exist. And I think that's what we bring to the table more than anything else. Um, but let me tell you a little bit about what FlexBuy really is about. What's our selling proposition? FlexBuy helps businesses get more customers and revenue by providing payment options, primarily through financing and leases, to people that would otherwise not be able to buy or underbuy. So, you know, that is the outcome. You know, the product, we offer multiple lending options to merchants, and we're on the cutting edge of new and developing products. Sure, we bring that to the table, but primarily, we're an experience and outcome business, and what you have to sell and what we sell is more revenue and more customers. If you have a merchant who doesn't buy into the concept that they are losing out on, prospective business, you're not going to make a sale. Nobody does this to put it on the shelf. At least that's not the intent. So they have to buy into the concept, and it's true. Some people may not believe it, that there are people, especially if they are selling something that exceeds $1,000. There are people that just are unable to buy out of their own resources, whether it's lack of money, whether it's lack of a credit card, or maybe they do have credit cards but they don't want to exhaust their credit limits. A lot of people, first of all, are very nervous about taking away their emergency credit card, or even hurting their credit score, because using up too much of your credit card balance in relations to the limits will impact significantly your credit score. So there's a lot of reasons people want to look at third party financing when completing a transaction. For the merchant standpoint, it should be a no-brainer, right? It's going to bring them somebody that otherwise they wouldn't have. Also, it's been proven, by the bigger industry giants. They've done their research that people that do financing will buy 20 to 25% more, will spend 20 to 25% more than those using their own resources. So there's a lot of reasons for merchants to take on consumer financing. Now, a lot of the people you're going to come in contact with, and we get them every day, already have consumer financing. They have some kind of consumer financing in place already. We get them. Why do we get them? Because either they're not happy with what they already have, and that's often the case, or they're nervous about what they have. If you have one option, this is an old business adage, and I learned this. If you have less than three options, you really have no options, because you're close to not having it. And we see it even with our own merchants. There's a lot of lenders out there, particularly in the retail space on the no credit subprime side, that will either downgrade a merchant because of defaults or cancel them entirely. So what we bring to the table is, you know, uh, we try to educate our merchants to see if we can help them get better customers, or maybe do a better job of screening. But sometimes it's the merchants, I mean, it's the lender's fault. Sometimes their algorithm is just bad. And I'll be talking much more about that later. Um, so, we have to be ready whenever possible to give our merchants other options. And we've done a great job of doing that. There's been some very difficult industries out there that are hard to find lenders for. And, we basically can do it in almost every case. So that's basically what, FlexBuy is about. I will talk primarily in this meeting, and show you primarily our products and process. But if that's what you focus on, it's going to be very difficult to be successful. The product, what we have great products, but the products are really secondary. It's really the experience and really the outcome. So that's what I'm going to start off today with. So to that end, let me show you something. And everything I'm going to show you today, I'm going to show you in a second how to get into the agent resources. But everything I'm going to show you today is in agent resources. Um, Bear with me 1 second. I don't know if you guys can still see my screen. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Okay. This is our ROI calculator. It's the return on investment calculator. And this is in our back office. And this is a really, in my opinion, underutilized tool that we have. And it's a simple Excel spreadsheet. And let me make it a little bit smaller so it all fits all on the screen here. Um, but it's really, really important because this is the experience, this is the outcome that you have to uh, get your merchant to live, right? So if they don't buy into this, if they don't, the first thing is, you know, what is Flexxbuy going to bring to the table? And it's not just, a nice website with, lending platform that we do, or multiple lenders and a lot of education and support. We do all that. But what are we going to bring to the table in real dollars and cents? And what this ROI calculator does is it allows them to give you their numbers and let them live it, let them experience it. And I've used it in the past, and some of my agents use it. A lot of the better agents have bypassed it because they're able to get to the meat of this without having to use the ROI calculator. But if you're new, get used to this. At least get used to whether you use the calculator or not. Get used to driving your discussion in this area, which is how much money is FlexBuy actually going to mean to you? Because our product does come with costs, right? So anytime you have a product that comes with costs, you have to be able to show them that these costs are going to be offset, easily. So it's going to bring some positivity to their business. So the ROI calculator is very simple. So what is the average widget or service that they're selling? They could, if it's $4,000, what percentage of each sale is profit? This is only important if they're selling a product. If they're selling a service, it's 100%. So if you're selling to lawyers, don't even worry about this part of it. And how many sales are lost per month due to lack of funds or credit? Now, keep in mind about something, okay? A lot of merchants don't know exactly how much they're losing. They may have people, and why they're losing it. So they may have people come into the store and walk out and not make a sale, and they may not ask why. Usually it comes down to money, but they're not asking why. Um, or it may be just, an assumption by people that they can't afford the service or product. So, the smart business that is using FlexBuy isn't just waiting for the customer to call them or walk into the door. They're using FlexBuy proactively. So what does that mean? If they're an attorney and they're advertising in the local paper, or 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 even a billboard, rather than wait for a customer, a potential client to call them and ask about their services, they'll say financing available, all credit considered, in their ad or in their pitch or whatever it is that they do. And the reason is because they want to pull those people in that are making the assumption that they can't afford to hire them. See, we could bring people, we could drive people in. So FlexBuy is a reactive tool for businesses that just can't close a sale. But for the smart businesses, it's a proactive tool. You think about the auto industry. The car, if auto financing wasn't obvious, how many people would actually come to a car dealership if they knew they had to have $30,000 before they can buy a car? They would never come in. So, car financing is very obvious now. So when you walk into a car dealership, that's going to be part of your equation. But, in most businesses, some businesses are more mature when it comes to financing. Furniture and mattress stores. You're going to see the big signs in the window. Some of them are our signs. Some of them are competitor signs. But you're going to see the big signs in the window. But if you're a service business, home improvement, if you're an attorney, um, if you sell online, if you sell over the phone, dozens and dozens and dozens of industries, it's not obvious. So you have to be proactive. And your job as a sales partner, and we do the best we can when by the time we get to them. But your job as a sales partner is to educate them on, right, to get them to this, experience it. What would happen if you take that ad you're now placing in your local, penny saver or whatever circular that you get to your house, and you put in their financing available. And by the way, that's a great way of getting prospective clients. That junk mailers that you usually throw out, don't throw them out. Go through them and find businesses and say, oh yeah, that would be good for financing. That would be good for financing. And start calling them, or start doing some photoshopping of their ad and showing them, hey, how would this work for you if you put in here financing available or credit considered or no credit check financing, however, whatever product you have in mind for them. But that is the key. The key is they have to live this. But so what the ROI calculator does is it gets them to live it. So how many sales are lost per month due to your lack of funds or credit? Make them come up with a number. So when you're speaking to someone, let them come up with their own number. All right, so 10, let's say in this case. So, with this ROI calculator, we can show them, all right, you added 40,000 per month, easily, 480,000 per year. You can, this so forth and so on. It's important to go beyond the immediate, okay? And I'll tell you why. We have a lot of businesses, whether maybe they're smaller businesses, or maybe they're seasonal businesses that won't come across this every day or every month. They may go a month, they may go 2 months without using it, and so in their mind they're saying, "Oh, I'm going to have my subscription fee because I'm not going to hit $3,000 in certain months." Okay, so that's going to be something you're going to have to overcome, or even the setup fee, the enrollment fee that you charge. So, what you can show them with this calculator is this is what it's going to mean to you over the course of a year. So, let's say this is a small business and you're only going to do one of these a month on average. So you could show them, all right, you're going to charge X amount upfront. It's going to cost you, let's say, 6 months out of the year you're not going to use it. So that's subscription times six. So that's going to be your cost. But the cost is not going to nearly approach $48,000, is it, sir? I mean, this is good. Isn't this going to pay for itself 10, 15, 20 times over? So that's what you have to get to. I think that is very, very critical. So whether you use this ROI calculator or whether you just mentally do this, or whether however you come upon this, it's important for you to keep in mind that you have to get the merchant, your prospective client in this case, to live this out and see what it's going to mean to them. What can it do for them? I mean, what could another $50,000 a year, that will pay for his housing expense? That's another salary. That's another job. Maybe they're overworked, underpaid, whatever it is. These numbers make a difference, even small numbers. Even in this example, one funding per month on average, 12 per year. So, use this calculator because get them in a place where this is a no-brainer. So the first thing they have to come to grips with is, yes, it's a reality that there are people out there for whatever reason that will not buy from me, and money is going to be the reason. And B, yes, we have an answer for it, and this is what it's going to mean. So this is whether you know the product or don't know the product. This is the most important concept that you really have to understand. And if you don't understand it, it's going to be difficult, because if you focus only on the products, um, it's they're not sexy. I mean, financing is just not a sexy thing. It's just a matter of what is it going to do for me. So people that have been in other financing sales, whether it's investments, insurance, they understand that. It's You're not going to be selling sexy products. You're not going to be selling things that are exciting, but the outcome is exciting. So you have to get there as quickly as you can to what the outcome is. Otherwise, you're really fighting the current. Okay, so I hope you get that. By the way, if you have questions, I know I've muted you out, and I've done that. I do that because the noise becomes unbearable. But if you have questions, there's a bubble up there, comment bubble. Lay your questions in there, and at the end, I'll try to get to as many of them as I possibly can. But I don't want to interrupt, the meeting per se, for questions. But I will do it at the end. Okay. So let's get into the meat of this. So you should see my screen. Let's make sure I refresh this. Okay. You should see the screen. This is the FlexBuy homepage. Now, if you're a signed up sales partner with FlexBuy, you should have access to our agent resources. Okay, so to get to the agent resources, you were sent the direct link. But worst cases, you can come right here and you can click on the agent login registration at the top of the screen, and that will take you to the agent resources page. Use the username and login that you created. Now, Dan in our office hates these meetings because every time I have these meetings, I get, you know, 10 emails saying I lost my password. Keep in mind, we will change it once, we will change it twice, but if it gets out of hand, we're all adults here. Hopefully, we can all keep track of our username and password, put it in a safe place. It really is not. It's not an automatic thing, believe it or not. We have to go into the database and change it. So it's not an automatic thing. So if you have your username and password, please keep it in a safe place, and so you don't have to constantly email. But that being said, if you at the end of this meeting you don't have your password, email to info@flexbuy.com, and that will get to Dan, and he'll get around to changing it, and he'll send you the update. So you click on here to get into agent resources, and really this is the meat and potatoes of everything that FlexBuy has to offer. And anytime we have something new to offer or something changes, it's back here. So, as you can see, just going down this page, you got the program summaries. There's multiple links to the program guide, which is the Bible, which I'm gonna focus on in a second. How to make a sale, past videos. I'll be going through this because things change, so some of these videos may have outdated information, and if they do, just ignore the outdated information. What I'm going to tell you today is the most current information. Um, different different tools that you can use, marketing materials, the ROI calculators. Here, as you can see, the section here, consumer financing ROI calculator. That's back here. Um, Selling to business financing scenarios, all different types of training tools, marketing tools. The Credit Select Plus, this is where the process begins. This is where how to enroll merchants. I'm going to go through that. And also there's additional support and training material. There's a lot to keep you busy, and there's a lot to learn here. So, don't be intimidated by it. If you basically follow the process I'm going to show you and go over it with you, you could start selling very, very quickly without having to be an expert. It's not this is not brain surgery, but as I mentioned, this is about experience and outcomes. So you don't have, I have a lot of people, and over the years, and I've been, without giving away my age, I've been in finances for 33 years now, and I've seen salespeople who just couldn't get out of their own way because they insisted on being an expert before they started to try to be successful. And a saying that I like and I hear and I use is good enough is good enough. Okay, so you don't have to get 100 on the test, but you just have to get a passing grade and know how to find the answers that you don't have, that you know the, to the questions you don't have the answers to. So don't don't wait, and don't put it off, and don't just jump in and get going with this. You don't have to be perfect, and you could always tell people, this is a new company for me. It's a new concept. Let me get you that answer, and we'll help you get that answer. So, the agent resources has a lot of great tools. Just a little housekeeping. We just did away with the proposal request, and here is why. You know, as I said, we're an experienced business, and because we were getting so many proposal requests, and because they're not easy for us to do, we actually, Dan worked on them and actually customized them and did a great job with it. we got backlogged, and we weren't getting them out in a timely fashion. It became more of a bad experience for you folks, that were using it. And the other thing is, I started to realize, and I went through, the last 100 deals, and realized that out of the previous 100 new merchants that we got, only five came across that had that had been given proposals. I realized that it really has become an unnecessary part of the selling process, even though I'm a firm believer in it. But the way, as you'll see when I show you the merchant application, the way we set this up, it has become unnecessary. So, I want you folks to have a better experience. And if we're going to take too long to get the proposals and you lose your momentum, we've done you more harm than the proposal can ever do for you. So, in the meantime, I've decided to stop doing the proposals. I will go back to them as soon as I can figure out how to more automate that process. But right now, it just became a hindrance. So you won't see that link back here. But I'm going to click on, first thing now is the program guide, and this is what you guys should, how you should learn to use this. Now you could print this out, but I don't suggest printing it out and using it uh, as a Bible, because things change so quickly in this industry. And as you can see, there's different versions. This is not version 1.1.1. There's a lot of variations of the program guide. Every time a lender changes something, they stop, they continue, we add a new one, we take away one. So every time something changes, we update the program guide. And don't print it out and say, I have the program guide. Come to the agent resources and check out the most recent program. If you see that's the same one you have, fine. Otherwise, this is the most recent. The one in the agent resources is always the most recent one. So I'm going to start off going down through the programs, not in great detail, because you guys can do this. It's all back here for you. We have two credit-based multi-lender platforms. Okay, Program One and Program Three. Program Two we had a while back, has been discontinued, and I'll remove this column at some point. But right, we have Program One and Program Three. Program One is by far our bread and butter. It's a multi-lender platform. We have about 10 lenders in the platform, depending on where the consumer lives, depending on the amount of the loan they're looking for. The most consumers will get between 4 looks and 8 looks, as far as lenders go. But it's a great platform that goes down to theoretically as low as a 500 credit score, although those are few and far between. The most successful consumers are between 600 and up. Now, 600 is still considered subprime. Just to give you an idea, if you go to Synchrony or Wells Fargo, they're looking at 700 as being what they're looking for. Those are the prime lenders. So anything below 680 is really considered off prime, and then when you get below 650, that's really considered subprime. So we have a lot of great lenders in this platform, and this platform, Program One, is the reason it's our bread and butter. It's the most flexible. We can put just about any merchant type in there. It's not selective. It doesn't make a difference how long they've been in business. It doesn't, it's very broad as far as industries go. It doesn't make a difference how much revenue they do. We can be very, very broad with this platform. It's a direct to borrower lending platform, which means the money goes to the borrower and then to the merchant. Now, that is something that has to be brought up, and merchants will sometimes, say, well, what happens if the consumer takes my money and runs? Now, I don't want to ignore that question, but I can just tell you, in reality, because of the great job that we do in our service department, and those of you that are new, we'll speak to Laura and Victoria at some point, and most of you have already spoken to them. They do a great job of really holding the consumer's hand and creating that bridge between the consumer and the merchant. Does it ever happen where a consumer changes their mind about a product or service and doesn't complete the sale? Yes, it does happen. but it happens far less frequently than you think. If it happens 3% of the time, that's a lot. So in the vast majority of the cases, the money goes to the consumer, who then pays the merchant. And it gives the consumer a lot of flexibility as well. I mean, they can upsell. Sometimes, they could accept more money than they need, less money. They can borrow part of the sale. So it's really a tremendous product that the merchants that use it and really, buy into what we train them to do, which is, as soon as you have somebody pre-approved, and it's an instant decision, by the way. So if somebody's sitting in a lawyer's office, and the lawyer can just turn the computer around, they fill in the application, they click submit. Within a matter of 8 seconds, they'll know, which lenders are being offered to them, if any, and they can start that process. So once they have a pre-approval and the consumer says, yeah, this looks like a product I want to take, what we train our merchants to do is take a small deposit. It doesn't have to be a large deposit. It can be negotiated from $100 up to 10%, or 20, whatever the merchant feels comfortable doing. They could take a small deposit, which basically, locks that consumer in mentally into the sales process. And then from there, I mean, we have loans that fund in a day or two. It depends on how quickly the consumer um, uh, sends in the requested documents, which are usually a pay stub, maybe a voided check, that type of thing. Once they get that done, they're funded. It could be quickly, and they turn around and they give the merchant the money, and the sale is completed. And we collect our fee, which is 3.9% plus $49, approximately 10 days after the loan has been funded. So we give the merchant some time to complete their sale before we actually take our fee from the merchant. But program one is really our bread and butter. It's our highest commission program as well. It's our own platform. We have some control over who the lenders are, and how the lenders behave. So we do a good job, I think, of managing that platform, and I think our merchants like it an awful lot. Like I said, the one downside is that like I said, some merchants will be skeptical about how the money, is transferred, and that is something that you have to, just go through the materials. You can overcome it. You should overcome it, because it's not as big of a problem as one would perceive. Plus, if a merchant comes back to us and says we just didn't complete our sale, we won't collect our fee. Now, if it happens more than once, we're going to start questioning from the merchant, what's your process? Why is this happening to you? Because it really does not happen that often. So, that's program one. I like when you sell program one, because we have a lot of control over it. We make more money on it, and we can get them up and running very very quickly. So you get paid quickly, and the merchants can start seeing results, very quickly as well. The other program, credit-based program, is program three. It's a direct-to-merchant credit-based platform. Uh, it's 600 credit score and up. It's much more selective of who gets in. There's a revenue requirement. There's a time and business requirement. There's a strict vertical requirement. So program three is used up far less. It's not really great in the retail space. Not many of the retail companies that we have use program three. It is much stronger in home improvement, is 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 a big category, and medical. On the medical side, it's as strong, if not stronger, than Care Credit. It definitely goes down deeper in credit score than Care Credit. So this program three is not our platform. The folks that manage the platform, I don't think do a great job. Frankly, the product is excellent. The experience is not. So we use program three because we want to do what's best for our merchants, and as long as the product is still positive enough where we can put up with the experience, we will continue to offer program three, because it does work. Um, the money goes directly to the merchant on the program three. Although, when I look at the statistics as far as conversions go, which means how many people that are getting approved convert into funded loans with program one versus program three, the result is actually much higher on program one, believe it or not. program three, for whatever reason, you have the same skepticism when it comes to consumers. And keep in mind, because the consumer has to make an instantaneous decision whether they want to go forward or not, you get, sometimes that's where the hesitation occurs. So the same way with program one, where somebody can change their mind, because it's we get involved much more deeper with the consumer, and the merchant does as well with program one, it tends to stick. While program three, the loans just don't seem to stick as well. But like I said, it's a good program. It's medical and home improvement is really the place to look for the big home improvements. There's some home improvements that definitely need instant gratification. With program one, doesn't do that because while we give a pre-approval, the firm approval does not occur until the funding actually happens. With program one, it's an instant firm approval. So, if you have somebody whose air condition broke in Florida, they don't want to have to wait 2 days before the job starts. So they want to know that they can start their work right away. If they qualify for program three is a good choice for that. So you have program one and program three. Go through this in much more detail. I'm just skimming it. The other programs we have, for the most part, are in the retail space. So they're more. So program one and program three are mostly about service businesses. Although with program one, we do have our layaway finance program, which can be used in the retail space, and you can read about that. There's more materials in the agent resources on that. But for the most part, program one and program three is more about intangibles. So it's more about services and products mixed with services. Like home improvement, where there's products mixed with services. The rest of these programs are subprime and no credit check programs that are really retail or product driven. So I'm not going to say retail because, as you will see, we are very, very strong now in that some of our programs can actually work with, or at least one of our programs can actually work with consumers that are doing online transactions, phone transactions, um, you know, distributorships. However, the sales process is not that important. So brick and mortar is not important. Um, so that's one of our programs. I'm going to go through this. Program 33 is a no credit check lease purchase alternative. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because, frankly, Program 33 has changed substantially. Now they have to be in business 2 years and have a minimum of $500,000. The program is not as strong as some of the other programs we have, and this company, frankly, I'm not convinced is on strong ground. So we still have it because they're still out there and they have a niche, but we're really reserving Program 33 for jewelry stores because jewelry is much more difficult for us to place elsewhere, and also some oddball type stores that maybe don't fit anyplace else. Although we have product for just about everything now. But Program 33, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on. You guys can take a look at it. It's out there. It's still in our merchant menu, so merchants can choose it. And for those that qualify, we will certainly give it to them. Program 31 is a no credit check lease purchase alternative. This is a great program. It goes to 24 months, 90 days, same as cash. They actually have two options: 90 days, same as cash, and one where there's not a 90-day same as cash. Um, but there's it's a little bit complex, but when you get into the training and you look at the materials, you'll see what it's all about. But it's a good program. It goes to 24 months. It's a no credit check, so the approvals are high on the consumer side. They're in limited number of states. So in all these programs, if you have a merchant, be aware of the states that it's available in. Okay, so don't be blind to it because they all have limitations as far as states goes. So not everybody, you have to know where you are and where your merchant is. So the program 31 is good for the consumer, the merchant. They're much more selective on the merchant. So we've been finding they approve about 40 to 50% of the merchants that we put in. They do a strict due diligence. Now, there are two type of lenders out there in this category. One is, program 33 and 31 fall into this category where they don't know who their consumer is as much as they would like to. So they're vulnerable to fraud and high defaults. So they're much more selective on the merchants. Their view is that if we pick the better merchant, the high end merchant, we'll get better customers. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. It doesn't work. But anyway, that's the policy of Program 31. The cost is very, very good to the merchant. But like I said, the approvals of 40 to 50%, and we usually have a backup plan. And frankly, Program 31 has become our backup plan because you'll see in a second we have a another option that we like better in that same category. Program 47 is a subprime lease purchase specialty program. It's good for just about all consumer goods. Uh, the real the real strong suit for Program 47 is auto repair, parts, and related products. That's really the strong suit. They go up to $5,000. Terms will go up to 24-month term on a lease is over $1,000. It's a lease. They have a 90-day quick payoff option. They'll approve, even though it's subprime and not no credit check, they approve probably as higher percentage of applications as some of the no credit check programs do. The downside of this program, and by the way, I don't hide the negatives and I promote the positives. In the last page of this, I think it's the last page of this program guide. You'll see each program. I listed the pros and cons of each, so you can weigh it, and the merchant can weigh it. I don't want to hide, I don't want to hide it. I don't want to overpromise on merchants and under deliver, because you know what as I started out with this conversation in the beginning, this is not about approving everyone. We don't have to go into a merchant and say, now we're going to approve everyone that, needs financing. That's never going to happen by any lender, by any finance company, any place. What we have to focus on is telling them that focus on the ones that do get approved and do get funded, because those are the customers that you otherwise would not have had. The ones that get turned down, you're back to where you would have started with if you didn't have financing in the first place. So, we're not about promising high return, high approval rates. Most of our programs won't. Most of our programs will approve less than 50% of the customers. I mean, some of the no credit check programs will go higher, but it's not about that. It's really about, value added. And all of our programs, FlexBuy in general, brings value added resources to a merchant. So the negative about program 47 is, and the reason they don't convert as high on approved applications, is that they require the first payment, which is a monthly payment at time of sale, which becomes high for some consumers. It's low in comparison to other products that are on the market. Some of you may have had experience with Global Check or secure payment systems out there. The payments they require upfront are much higher than that, but still, in reality, especially in the auto repair sector, you have somebody whose car broke down. They were not expecting that expense. They may not even have the $200 or $300 that is required upfront to complete the sale. So 47 is not going to be for every consumer that gets approved, but the ones that do get approved again, those are customers that otherwise, they wouldn't have. Program 46 is one of our more recent programs. It's a subprime lease purchase program. Now, there's a lot of pros about Program 46. I like Program 46. 46 will go up to $6,000. It goes up to 36 months. The terms to the consumer on Program 46 are better than any program we have other than the credit base. So anything in this category, the no credit check and the subprime, Program 46 is the best in the industry. So that's true whether somebody has Progressive or Crest or our competitors. Program 46 for that category of individual has the best terms for the consumer of anybody out there. The other positive is that this program 46 is good for any sales channel. So whether it's online, they actually can integrate with somebody's online shopping cart. So if you have an online business, now there's companies out there, like if you go to Casper.com, the mattress company, they have financing in place. So there's some of the bigger uh, companies that have dedicated themselves to online transactions. But if you have a small to medium sized online business that has a shopping cart, there's really nobody, that's offering them financing. So that's an opportunity. So if you see, a small jewelry business or, anything, it's got to be consumer goods, obviously. It can't be services, but if it's a consumer good, program 46 can be used in most cases. If they have a shopping cart, it can be integrated. Even if it can't be integrated because they don't integrate with every single shopping cart out there, they have a web-based version. They have a cloud-based version of it as well. So it's great for online businesses. It's great for businesses that sell by phone. Great for businesses that sell door to door, face to face. We recently signed up a business that all they do is sell on Craigslist. So they're going to put their loan application on Craigslist. It's Program 46 uh, is a great product to have. Here's the downside, okay? Program 46 is a fairly new lender. They're reinventing themselves. Their their consumer lending experience is awful, really off the charts awful. So they really, and we're working with them. They're very accommodating to us. So they're open to our ideas. Um, but it's a very clumsy, clunky process for the consumer, and they don't approve enough. They really, it's much too manual. So the bad news is right now the approval rates are very low with Program 46, and we're trying to give as much support to our merchants as possible to let them have them hang in there because it's going to get better. There is a map in place over the course of between May and August. The process is going to be dramatically improved, and the results are going to get much better. We're working closely with them on this. We're by far their biggest partner. So, we're working with them on this, and they will get better. So, what we're telling our merchants is right now it's going to be rough, but hang in there because if you stay with us and you stay with this program, it will get better, and it's going to be a powerful tool. Because there's a category of people, most of the if you walk into a small mattress store, a small furniture store, they may only have, you know, a progressive or crest. Some of them may have a synchrony, but there's a big gap between what synchrony or Wells Fargo will approve and also what progressive that so for that person that has a 660 credit score that maybe gets turned down by synchrony, they may not want the pricing of a progressive, the no credit check pricing. They may not want to pay 100% or close to it return on, of their sale. So what Program 46 is, Program 46 is a program that gets slotted above the no credit check program. So you still want the safety net underneath Program 46, but for that consumer that wants something a little bit better, or even, considerably better, if they get turned down by the credit-based program, you slide them into 46. If they get approved, it's a much better selection for them than a no credit check program. So, that's the advantage of Program 46. Program 28 is a program we've added in there. It's been out there. It's a very powerful program, but they were limited to only 21 or 22 states until recently. So now they've opened it up to almost every state except for New York, Vermont, and Connecticut. It's very specific on who they're good for, but they're excellent in the auto repair industry and also, furniture, mattress, appliances. So they want the meat and potatoes of this. They don't pay a high commission, so it's the kind of program we cluster it in, so we give it to them as part of a, we'll give our merchant the credit base, the subprime, or maybe two subprimes, and then a no credit check program. We cluster this in because with Program 28, the one thing is the product is pretty strong, the costs are high, but they approve a lot of individuals and the experience is good. So, unlike Program 46, where the consumer experience isn't that great, with Program 28, they've been at this a while and the experience is very, very good. So, we like Program 28. I'm pleased to bring them in. It's a really big plus for your merchants. It brings a lot to the table in those categories, and we're doing very, very well with it, so far that we've had it. Um, so, and finally, Program 38. Program 38 has become a bread and butter for us. This is a no credit check lease purchase alternative and it's good for just about any brick and mortar product business. So if they're out there selling furniture, mattresses, electronics, no cell phone stores, other than cell phones and jewelry, they'll just do just about any store. So it's got to be a brick and mortar store. They're only not available in a limited number of states right now. California is not available, but it's going to open up in the next month or two. But other than the four non-lease states, um, for the most part, it's going to be available nationwide. It's a very good program. But here's why: it's more than just here. It's out there. They offer a 90-day same as cash, which is great. $40 due at time of signing, but they have the highest approval rating. This has been proven out in the industry. So if you go into a furniture store or mattress store that has a Progressive, and Progressive will approve about 60 to 65% of applications. Same thing for Crest. Same thing for Snap. This program will approve 80%. Now, that makes a big difference. So, for a decent sized furniture store, mattress store that's they may turn over, they may do 50 leases a month. So if you add 15% to that total for them, it's going to be astronomical. Even no matter what the costs are of this program, and the costs are reasonable, it's only 2% fee, to the merchant, and whatever our fee is, it's still well worth it for them. So that's something you take pencil to paper, and you show them, hey, what are you doing now? Here's your approval rate. This will do 80% approval rate. Now, the reason I'll give you a little bit of why this program has a higher approval rating. So the way most of the no credit check lenders out there, make a decision is, they'll check on some key points about a consumer. So an application comes in, they all pull credit, even though it says no credit check. They all pull credit, including this one, but not to see what the credit is, just to basically show that they're dealing with a real person, because they want to see this person is real, this person has a job, and they have a ways of checking that with background. They have they have ways of checking, residency. So there's like 6 to 8 different things that they're able to check on through resources that they pay for, through some databases. This lender has, with Program 38, they have 85 checkpoints on a consumer. So most of the consumers that are turned down under no credit check, it's because the lender doesn't know enough about them. They can't make a case to say, yes, this person exists, and yes, I have some degree of confidence that they're responsible. Program 38 checks so many different things that that they're able to build a better case. So they're looking for reasons, and this is true with most of the no credit check. They want to build a reason as to why they should give this person money, because Program 38 is such a high, such a due diligence. They're able to build that case. These people, Program 38 is a fairly new lender. They're well financed, and they have industry experience. They're all led by top industry people. So this is a very exciting program for us. It's starting to do really, really well. The other great thing about it is, and this is very, very important for those of you that have been in this business a while, they'll approve just about everyone. I mean, we've had one merchant turned down because they were being sued by a Progressive, and they found out about the lawsuit. Other than that, they'll approve any store because they are so confident in their algorithm. They think the store isn't that all that important. So we have a lot of, it's become tough out there, even for mattress and furniture stores. If you've been in business for less than a year, or if you have very low revenue, even the established lenders don't want you anymore. They're all making rules about, we want a minimum number of years in business. These guys will take you no matter what, no matter how much business, how long you've been in business. Um, the other thing is that almost every program out there requires a checking account. Okay, Program 38 always also requires a checking account unless you have a uh, debit card through your job. Now that's a lot more prominent out there than you may think. A lot of people now have, work debit cards, so their pay gets put onto a debit card. So if somebody gets paid that way, that suffices. They don't need to have a checking account. So there's a lot of good reasons. to use Program 38, and we have a strong sales tool with Program 38. So even if you walk past a mattress store and you see the signs for, they obviously have other no credit check. You walk into number, with Program 38 as one of the things we offer, and you put the pencil to paper and you show them, if you're getting 65% approvals now, this is what 80% looks like. It's going to make a tremendous difference. So I'm very very bullish on 38. Next page of the program guide is, this is a vertical of glossary. So if you want to know what programs go with which vertical, you can use this. This is a great sheet. It basically shows you where we can go with different business types. Things change, so come back here often. And as I mentioned, this is the pros and cons for each one of the programs. I don't, like I said, I feel confident enough about what FlexBuy offers that I don't think we have to stretch our neck out and say falsehoods about our programs. There's no perfect program out there, so why try to create it? That's why we offer so many. So, we want to give merchants as many options as possible, as many bites at the apple as possible. And I think we do it. So, we want our merchants to come in with their eyes wide open. There really should not be any reason that, a merchant signs up with us and then gets surprised. And, that's why we have no complaints against us. We have a stellar record because it's important to me. It's important that we are transparent, and I'm going to show you next how transparent we are, because I'm going to go over the merchant application. Um, so back to the agent resources. Okay, so if you go down here and into Credit Select Plus consumer financing programs, how to um, how to enroll a customer, how to enroll a new merchant. There are two options for how to enroll a new merchant. Okay, option one is you send the merchant application to the merchant, let them complete it. They complete the merchant application, send us the docs, and or when we work with them on getting the docs, and that's it. The merchant signs it themselves. They agree to everything. The second option is, we have some agents who are more, they want to be more hands-on. So if the agent wants to do, if the sales partner wants to do the merchant application, we have another option here which you can use, and then you just have to get the merchant to send back the terms and conditions. um, Almost every one of our merchant submissions are using option one. It is so much easier to use option one. So for those of you that are FlexBuy direct agents, you'll see we have four different merchant application options here, and this depends on what you want to charge as far as the setup fee goes. So you could charge anywhere from 99 to 399. 299 is the sweet spot. That's where most of our salespeople are selling it and getting it. And so I'm going to use that merchant application for now. Okay. So let's open this link in a new tab. So if you were sending this to a merchant, you basically could just copy and paste the link and just email it directly to the merchant, have them fill it out. As you can see, it's pretty simple. It's a pretty simple merchant application. Okay, so it's not complex at all. But here is the key part of it. And this is what. So when you first go down this merchant application, you see there's nothing here as far as programs go. It's in the program selection section. There's nothing there. So um, you have the merchant. The first thing when the merchant is going to complete this application, they get down to the product and services, and they're going to pick mattresses, appliances, and furniture. Okay. So now when they get down to the program selection, every program that is available in that category, or may be available, because this, they have to read business criteria, what the business criteria is looking for and where it's available and not available. But these are the possible programs that are available to them. So as you can see, there's a lot of programs in that category, and the merchant can pick and choose. Doesn't mean they're going to get all of them, but we're going to give them the ones that we think are, best meet their criteria of the ones that they selected. So one of the reasons that the more successful sales partners are no longer using the proposals, requests and proposals, is this essentially becomes it. So if you're working with a merchant and you sold them on the experience, you sold them on the outcome, just say, and they say, what products I'm going to get. You say, listen, we have a lot of different products. Let me send you the merchant application. Go through it. You can pick out the business type you are, and then you'll be able to read about all the possible programs. And it basically describes it, everything about about the programs. They can pick and choose the ones that they think, match what they need, and then to take it from there. So this is the program, as you can see. For this is a furniture, mattress, appliances, is a big category. We have a lot of programs there. Owner information, the terms and conditions are right here, and they could print this out as well. Now, here's one of the things that we do. I don't know if any business does this. We could have gotten away with just having our terms and conditions here and having them agree to it. But let's face it, we all know, because we don't do it ourselves, that people just don't read these terms and conditions. A few people do. We occasionally get a question on it, but frankly, I could have put in here blah 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 blah, and 90% of our merchants would agree to the terms and conditions. The things that are most important, though, that we don't want our merchants to miss are, what is it going to cost them? So I didn't want to just bury that in the terms and conditions. So we have it down here. I agree to the terms and conditions. And also it says here, if a merchant misses this, shame on them. I agree that Flexxbuy will collect a $2.99 one-time setup fee payable upon approval into one of my selected programs. In addition, Flexxbuy will collect $59 at the end of every subsequent 30-day period from time of setup in the event my business does not fund a minimum of $3,000. So it breaks it up. If you don't do if you do more than $3,000, which hopefully as a sales partner, as a sales expert, you've gotten them to the point where they believe they're going to do more than $3,000, they don't have to worry about that $59 a month. But if they do have a slow month and they do have a time where they don't do $3,000, they will be charged a $59 um, subscription fee, and that basically covers our service costs. We put a lot of service into our business, and just to keep, just to put that in perspective, most of the people that call themselves brokers, or that are in this industry, don't have it. They don't service their merchants. Their job, they're basically sales organizations. They sign up merchants, they land them with the lenders, and then they take a step back and assume that the lender is doing all the servicing for them. We are not like that at all. We handle our merchants from beginning to end. Doing, in the beginning, we really press hard. We're there for them. We'll answer questions. We'll be the conduit between them and the lender. We'll step in and try to do the best we can to get through any obstacles they may be having. So, we do an awful lot besides setting up. I mean, once you start submitting deals, you'll see how complicated and how intense it is putting these packages together, collecting the right documents, doing our due diligence. We could tell you stories about merchants that try to defraud us. So we do a lot of due diligence just to make sure the business we're talking to is really the business, and the people that we're talking to are really part of that business. So, we do a lot of that. So that's why we charge our subscription at $59. We'd rather them use our program, because that's really where we all make the money. But if they don't use the program, we still have to service them. So, that's how we are able to do that. So the merchant would complete it. They would sign this application. They could do it with their finger if they're using a tablet, or their mouse. They click submit, and we automatically get that. And typically within a few hours, depending on the workload, in 24 hours, we will enter that into our um, back office, which is our high-rise CRM, where you'll be notified. Yes, we received this merchant application, and it's in process. So, if you haven't submitted a deal, you haven't seen the high-rise CRM. I'm not going to go through it with you now, but the high-rise CRM is an amazing, amazing tool. It keeps track of everything. You'll see all the merchant, communication. If you have them signed up with the program one, you'll actually see every loan that your merchant submits through program one, and the result of the loan. You'll see when loans get funded. So the high-rise CRM is a great tool that you'll be able to you'll be able to utilize once you start submitting merchants. And back to the agent resources, there's also a user guide for it as well. So, as you go through this, you'll see the user guide for for the CRM, as part of program one. So when you go to program one, you'll see how the program one user guide, you'll see how the CRM works. So that's it as far as that goes. Submitting a deal is very, very simple. If you're going to use the the agent submission one where you complete the merchant application on behalf of, let me just show you that one quickly. Oops, that's the, okay. Picked the wrong one. Hold on. Oops, here it is. So if you're submitting the application on behalf of your merchant, the application is very, very similar. It does the same thing, except as you can see, there's no signature because the merchant's not signing it. You submit, and then the only other thing you have to do is we ask you to do is we have you send. We need you to send the merchant the payment authorization so they acknowledge the fees, the enrollment fee, and the monthly subscription fee, and they see the terms and conditions. So that's the only difference. We prefer program one; it's a lot cleaner. But I mean option one. But if you need to do option two, that's fine as well. So either one goes. Um, we are dedicated to serving to serving our agents and serving our merchants. As I said, this is an experienced business, so it's important that your experience is good as well. That being said, we need you to be on top of your own, on top of your own merchants. We want you to properly describe our services. Don't oversell it because I don't think it's necessary. I think our programs stand on their own, and FlexBuy stands on its own. So that's basically it for what I wanted to show you for this program. Go through the program guide, go through the agent resources. It's very important. There's a lot of good information back there. There's good videos. Oh, what did I do here, guys? Hold on one second. I turned over the I turned over the screen to somebody else. So I'm going to stop the recording now, and I'm